Warning, the following video contains Nuclear Throne spoilers. If you do not wish to be spoiled for latter characters, please stand upside down with your head in a bucket of bonefish. Alright, let's get right back into the swing of things. We have 6 more characters in Nuclear Throne to cover, all of whom have very different playstyles, far more intricate than the first 6, and for a couple of them, pretty complicated unlock procedures. Alright, let's start with Steroids. That wasn't a suggestion, put the needle down. Steroids is unlocked by getting to level 6-1, the Lab. Steroids actually has 2 passives. I mentioned before that YV has the best damage output in the game. In terms of raw damage, that's true, but in terms of ammo output, Steroids has the gun god beat. His first passive is the fact that for Steroids, all weapons are automatic. In Nuclear Throne, some weapons you must click each time to use, while some automatic ones you merely hold down the button for constant bullets. While with Steroids, every weapon is automatic. You just hold the attack button down, and he will continue to shoot no matter what the weapon is. This even applies to melee. It allows Steroids to just rush into the middle of battle no matter what he's holding and start taking out everyone in his path. However, this boost is weighed down by his other passive, Inaccuracy. When firing automatic weapons, his shots will have a wider spread as they go out. This means that aiming and firing with weapons isn't going to be as effective as with most characters. Steroids Active is what sets him apart. Steroids dual wields all weapons, so when you right-click you aren't activating a special move. You're just going to fire his second weapon. That means that you can fire both of your weapons back and forth. Or, if you hold down both buttons, you can fire both weapons at once in a massive barrage of bullets. The best comparison is, well, Rambo. Steroid's design is to rush and destroy everything in his path. With the right combination of weapons, you can ensure that there is a constant stream of bullets tearing apart enemies. Steroid's Throne Butt gives him an ammo regeneration ability. As you fire one weapon, there is a small chance that your other weapon will gain ammo, and vice versa. The amount of ammo you can get is equal to half of an ammo pack. The calculation used to determine the odds of getting ammo with each shot is ammo used divided by ammo amount in an ammo pack times 1/2. That 1/2 turns into 2/3 if you are firing both weapons at the same time, giving you a much better chance to stock up on ammo. This is what makes Steroids such a monster in this game. With a good layout and the right mutations, there is a chance that Steroids will never have to stop firing, just running and gunning and tearing through absolutely everything that the game may throw at him. Holy shit, guys, look, it's Robot! Look at this little guy, he's awesome! Robot is unlocked by getting to level 5-1, the Frozen City. Robot's passive is going to require a little detail on game mechanics first. You see, which weapons you get in the game is determined by how many portals you have gone through, which is typically referred to as difficulty. On 1-1, for example, you get the very first set of weapons. When you go through a portal to 1-2, it adds the weapons from difficulty 2 to the possible drop list, and each time, the weapons get a little bit better. Enemies will only drop weapons up to your current difficulty. Weapon chests will only drop equal to your current difficulty +1, and cursed weapon chests, don't worry, we'll cover those, will drop from up to 2 difficulties ahead. I know it sounds confusing, but you'll get the hang of it. In the meantime, simply memorize this handy chart. Anyway, all characters start at difficulty 1, but Robot's passive starts him at difficulty 2, meaning that he has access to better weapons earlier than everyone else. That may not seem like much, but in the heat of battle, you want the best weapon possible. Note that here I have a sledgehammer in level 1-2. This weapon only normally shows up in World 1-3 or later. This passive gives Robot an edge over his enemies at all times. And with the strategic use of certain hidden areas and warps, he can get an even bigger boost. This ability to find better weapons earlier is what makes Robot such a good character. In fact, it's what makes him my character of choice in Nuclear Throne, because in a game like this, weapons are absolutely everything. Robot's active is, well, he eats his gun. Yup, he eats it and it's gone. When you eat it, you will gain the equivalent of either an ammo pack or a health pickup. If you find a weapon you don't want, just pick it up, eat it, and then pick up the weapon you dropped to get it. It means that Robot has an extra source of ammo and health, should things get tricky. Not only that, but with certain mutations, you can ensure that Robot always has a supply of ammo and health on hand to keep him alive and keep him shooting. Thrown Butt doubles the effect of eating your weapon. Instead of one random ammo pack, you'll get two. It should be noted it won't always be the same amount of ammo. You could get 2 packs of different ammo, or 1 pack of ammo 1 HP, it all depends. This gives Robot even more ammo and health, and gives purpose to all those stray weapons you're not picking up. With an amazing passive and a helpful active ability, Robot is one of the more versatile characters for beginners, and he will always be number 1 in my heart. This is Chicken. Chicken used to be a regular chicken until mutations turned her into a sword-wielding master of martial arts. Just go with it. Chicken has one of the most unique passives in the game, but one that is also fairly difficult to use. Unlocking Chicken will not only take skill, but also a little bit of luck. One of the mutations you can get is Last Wish. It gives you full health, 200 bullets, and 20 of every other type of ammo. If you want to unlock Chicken, you will need to pick Last Wish at some point before World 5-1, the Frozen City. If you do choose Last Wish, then 5-1 of the Frozen City will have a strange flower blooming somewhere. Walk up to it and press E 4 times to feed it. Each time will take away 1 HP. After 4, a portal will appear, transporting you to the jungle. There's a lot to talk about with the jungle, but we'll go into that another time. All you need to know for now is that merely by going to the jungle, you will unlock Chicken. First off, Chicken begins not with a gun, but with the Chicken Sword, a melee weapon that only she has the ability to use. As far as melee goes, it's a pretty good weapon, although again, because it's melee, it has limited range. Chicken's passive is known as Hard to Kill. When Chicken loses all of her HP, it's not game over. Not immediately anyway. You'll have a couple seconds to keep moving around. The camera will focus on her head, but you can still control the body, including moving around and shooting. When it happens, find a health quick. If you can find a health pack, her head and body will reattach and you can continue playing. However, your max HP will have been reduced by 2. This ability gives Chicken a second chance at life, maybe even a third or fourth, although your max HP drops by 2 with each resurrection. One last thing to mention is that when characters are under 50% health, there's a chance of a large medkit to spawn. These normally replenish 4 HP, but if Chicken has less than 8 max HP and walks over one, not only does she get that 4 HP back, but she will recover 1 max HP point. Chicken's passive is a bit complex, but if used properly and with a bit of luck, Chicken can stay alive for far, far longer than most characters. Chicken's active is the throw. Simply put, she throws her weapon. It travels fairly far, can bounce off of walls, and starts by doing 24 damage, although that damage goes up by 2 points every time you level up. So if you happen to have an empty weapon, or just find a weapon you don't want, throwing it can help take on an enemy very quickly. Or, if you're quick enough, you can throw it into an enemy and just pick it right back up. With Thrown Butt, the weapon will pierce through enemies, allowing you to line enemies up and take them all out at once. It makes the throw ability an even more devastating weapon for Chicken, should you be low on ammo or simply have a weapon you don't want. Chicken is a very odd character to play as, but if you can master her abilities, she becomes unlike any other character in Nuclear Throne. You've probably seen a lot of bandits running around the desert. Well, now you can play as one. Say hello to Rebel, drawn away from the desert to seek the Nuclear Throne. Unlocking Rebel is more difficult than unlocking any other character in the game. To unlock Rebel, you must loop. What does looping mean? Well, I don't want to get too spoiler in this video, so let's simplify things. Hang on one sec. This'll do. Okay, so here is the final boss, and up here is the Nuclear Throne. You could just kill the boss and sit on the throne and beat the game, but, see these 4 things over here? If you destroy these, the boss's health will drop by half. Then kill the final boss, and instead of sitting on the throne, you'll be warped to a new area. Kill everything there, and you will unlock Rebel. I know that's very vague, but I promise I'll explain everything in another video. Right now, I just want to focus on the character. Rebel's passive ability is the fact that portals between levels heal her. Each portal will give her back half of the health that she's missing, rounded down if it's an odd number. Now normally this would mean she could soak up more damage in each level, because you're going to be getting some health back, and that is pretty beneficial. However, for Rebel, her passive is designed specifically to help her active. Rebel's active summons a Helper Bandit. It costs 1 HP to do so, but this helper will remain alive for 20 seconds, generally following Rebel around and shooting at enemies with his own modified rifle. After these 20 seconds, the helper will explode, sending a ring of bullets out to damage all enemies that it hits. Having a second player like this is what makes Rebel dangerous. Yes, she sacrifices a little health, but the damage that your helper will be dealing to enemies more than makes up for it. You can have as many allies alive as you want, although if you summon one while another is still active, it will cost 2 HP instead of 1. That said, summoning a second ally will restart the 20-second timer for all other allies until their death, so it would be wise to summon a second one when the first is nearing death. If you are strategic about all this, you could be going through each level with a veritable armada of helper bandits, significantly evening the sides against the wasteland. And remember, since portals heal half your health, you can afford to throw out an extra ally every now and then. With Thrown Butt, Rebel's allies shoot 60% faster than before, making them even more dangerous to your enemies. The way Rebel is designed, you're going to be operating at fairly low health for a lot of the game, but that's okay, because when she's surrounded by allies, it's going to be hard for enemies to even get a hit on her. With a few key health-related mutations, Rebel becomes an army, a constant string of bandits by her side to help her when things get rough on the way to the throne. Horror is the most adorable Lovecraftian monster you've ever seen. Horror is a character who is built for the latter stages of the game, although his passive and active abilities are still incredibly helpful during early stages. To unlock Horror, you must defeat Horror. You've seen those radiation canisters on each level of the game. Well, if you go through the portal at the end of the level without getting the rad canister, the next stage will instead have a big radiation canister, which will drop 45 rads instead of 25. However, if you skip the big radiation canister, the next level, instead of a radiation canister, you will summon the Hostile Horror. This little guy shoots a very powerful beam that can drain your health very quickly, so just move around and be careful. When you take him out, you will unlock Horror. As we've seen, characters are given a choice of 4 mutations when they level up. Horror's passive ups that number to 5 mutations. With how important mutations are to Nuclear Throne, being able to get the right mutation for you is absolutely essential, and with Horror's passive, it gives him an extra slot that could potentially give you that game-changing mutation you've been looking for. Horror's active is the Radiation Beam. Holding the button will shoot out a concentrated beam of rads, damaging any enemy it hits and stopping enemy projectiles. First thing to note, you are using up your radiation supply. Pay attention to the top left of the screen. You cannot drop a level, but you can very quickly use up your rad supply for the current level. You can potentially get some of the rads you use back, but only if that segment of the beam hits an enemy. And the longer you hold the button, the wider the beam will become. As you get later in the game and have more rads available to you, the radiation beam becomes a more and more dangerous weapon in Horror's arsenal, giving him essentially a third gun to take out the harder enemies in the game. Thrown Butt changes the radiation beam in 2 ways. The beam will get wider twice as fast, and for every second and a half you hold it down, you'll gain HP. The radiation beam may not start that strong due to the lack of rads early on, but the further in the game you get, the more powerful it will become. This is what makes Horror such a good late-game character. Combined with his ability to pick more mutations, with more rads, the tiny little green monster becomes pretty deadly. The final character in Nuclear Throne is Rogue, the former member of the Interdimensional Police Department, now gone solo and armed with IDPD weapons on her own throne quest. To unlock Rogue, you just have to sit on the Nuclear Throne. It's not as difficult as unlocking Rebel, but it's still pretty tough, so Rogue will likely end up being the second to last character you unlock. Instead of a revolver, Rogue starts with the Rogue Rifle. It fires 2 bullets in quick succession and can be fired extremely rapidly to create a constant stream of bullets. It gives Rogue a really solid weapon right off the bat and sets up what she is all about: high-impact, run-and-gun damage output. However, Rogue has an additional threat she has to worry about at every level: the IDPD. Ordinarily, the IDPD only spawn under specific circumstances, but for Rogue, they appear in every stage. This means you will have to deal with extra enemies in every level. And just to make things worse, the IDPD do not drop rads. Rogue's passive is the Blast Shield. When she takes damage, she generates a large explosion around her that will also damage enemies and destroy walls. This gives Rogue an advantage for her playstyle of rushing straight into combat. She may take damage, but everyone near her is going to feel it too. Rogue's active is the Portal Strike. A massive series of explosions that can hit anywhere on the screen. Click and hold the button where you want it to strike, then move the mouse around to select the angle. When you let go, the strike will hit, doing huge damage to anyone in its path, and destroying any terrain it goes over. Be warned, however, the explosions damage you too. You can only have 3 portal strikes at a time, as shown by the small indicator to the right of Rogue's health. Instead of a rad canister in each level, Rogue gets a portal strike stock to pick up, so you can get away with using 1 strike per level without your stock dropping too much, although really, you can use them to your discretion. Throne Butt increases the size of the explosions in Portal Strike. Enemies will likely be hit by multiple explosions, and you can clear out a whole area of them quickly. It is perfect for taking out groups of enemies or dealing massive damage to bosses in an instant. Rogue has her drawbacks. Less rads due to portal canisters and the spawning of the IDPD. But she also has an aggressive style of gameplay that lets her do a ton of damage wherever she wants, which may be just what you're looking for in Nuclear Throne. Well, there you have it. Those are the 12 characters who you can pick from in Nuclear Throne. But there's probably one question you're now wondering. Who's the best? Or maybe who's the worst? The answer to that? There is none. You could argue that Steroids' dual wielding makes him the best, but his inaccuracy is a problem, not to mention that he chews through bullets quickly unless you get the right mutations. Sure, Ai's passive is pretty limited and lame when compared to everyone else, but his active is so strong that it more than makes up for it. This is the greatest strength of Nuclear Throne. There are 12 characters, and they are all balanced. Every character has their advantages, so it's not about who's best, it's about who do you play best as. Once you've unlocked everyone, and please understand, that may take a little time, it's up to you to play with each character, get a feel for them, and figure out who you play best as. But really, any of these characters are a viable option as you seek the throne. But there is still a whole lot more to talk about in Nuclear Throne, and next time, we will start going over mutations. But until then, stay throny, my friends. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel to see more video game content, including the continuation of the Nuclear Throne tutorial series. You can also check out my Twitch page for live streaming several times a week, and my Twitter page for video updates. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.